All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Olivier. Bonjour à tous, and thank you for being here on the World Pancreatic Cancer Day. So, like I said, my name is Olivier Gervais. I'm from Montreal, Quebec. I'm the founder of Living Sisu, a sports platform that aims to make sports more accessible.
And I'm Alex at Atsaidis, also with Living Sisu and partner of Olivier. This cause is deeply personal to both of us, as I lost my mom to pancreatic cancer when I was a teenager, and navigating that kind of loss is hard as a young age and as a young teenager.
Yeah, and also as Alex's best friend, I lived that
If you
loss
don't
with
mind,
him.
I'm gonna
I
welcome
would.
him.
All right. So yeah, as Alex's best friend, as I was saying, I lived that loss with him. I was his neighbor, so it was really tough for our family, his family. So it was really tough time when we were young. It's something you never forget. It leaves you with grief, yes, but also a powerful desire to do something to stand with others who understand exactly what this disease take.
Correct. And back in 2013, when it happened, I've always talked with Ollie about doing something that could have an impact in my mom's name. And over the past couple of years, we had the opportunity to create our summer hockey league, which brings all professional athletes, a community of NHL players, AHL, KHL players, as well as women hockey professional athletes. We were lucky enough to be able to create this in Montreal, and it's kind of like a big training for them, and it allows our fans to come close, see the athletes, and get together. And with what we've been doing, all proceeds from ticket sales have been accumulated, and we were able to raise close to $50,000 in the past 3 years.
Absolutely. And just quickly, Alex, I just want to say a welcome to the new attendees, so the people that just joined us for today's presentation. Also, I just want to quickly talk about Sisu, why we call our project Living Sisu. Sisu is a Finnish concept that means resilience, courage, also just the strength of keep going forward when things the hardest. For sure, on our part, it's mostly in sports, but sports is just life. It's just so many things happen. Sometimes very cool stuff, and sometimes very hard stuff. And I remember back then, Alex, he was a goalie, and he had to kind of stop playing. He was in the United States to play hockey, and he came back to be close to his family. And he had the sisu, the resilience to come back, to keep fighting, to be there for his close friends, close family. So that's what the Sisu mean. And living Sisu, we want to help people live their Sisu every day. So that's exactly what is all about today.
It's empower, right? It's something that we raise together, and like we say in French, ensemble on se tient debout. Together, we face it with difficult. We rise together, and we refuse to accept that this is as good as it gets. We want to find solutions.
Yeah, and if today's moves you, we invite you to share your why on social media using the hashtag survival, not sympathy. And it's something very important for us. It's not about sympathy right now. It's take action, and that's why the hashtag for me, for Alex, for all of us, it's super strong. The hashtag survival, not sympathy. Tell the world why this matters to you.
All right. Just before we introduce our speakers, a few notes. We will have time for questions at the end. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We will try to answer as many questions today as we can. And if we don't get to your question, we'll make sure to follow up afterwards. This video is being recorded in case there are people in your life that you would like to share it with, and we will share the recordings by email tomorrow. It is now my honor and our honor at Pancreatic Cancer North America to introduce the CEO of Pancreatic Cancer, Michelle Capobianco.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction, but also thank you for the explanation of Sisu. I love the idea of living with that, and I think that's something that we want to bring into our world and bring into our everyday language. So thank you for sharing what has come out of such an unbearable loss for you and your family. I want to recognize that so many of you on this call carry stories of loss, parents, partners, children, friends, taken far too soon by this disease. You know the reality of this disease better than anyone, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge that. Today is not about celebration. It is about coming together to honor your experience, to recognize what we are up against, and that pancreatic is not just the same as every other cancer. The survival rate has barely changed in 50 years. This is unacceptable. In that same time, we've seen major progress in nearly every other cancer. Breast and prostate cancer were once a death sentence as well, but today they're treatable, survivable. And why? Because people came together, they demanded more, and we are here to do the same. Just last week, the Canadian Cancer Society released its 2025 Cancer Statistics Report. It shines a spotlight on many cancers that have rightly received national attention and investment. But what is missing from that spotlight is just as revealing. Pancreatic cancer is the third deadliest cancer and projected to increase by 95% in the next 20 years. Most alarming is the increasing prevalence in people under 55. Yet despite this trajectory, it continues to receive a disproportionately small share of research funding and public attention. And that is exactly why we exist. But to rise to this growing challenge, existing isn't enough. We need to be bolder. We need a platform that matches the scale of our ambition, one that takes us from Pancreatic Cancer Canada to Pancreatic Cancer North America. This is not just a name change or a new brand. This is a major expansion of our mission. As a founding member of the World Pancreatic Cancer Coalition, it is time to do more than just our part here in Canada. It is time to lead, to elevate pancreatic cancer to the global crisis it truly is, to build a unified North American voice, to ensure Canadians have access to treatments and supports regardless of geography, to drive collaboration across institutions, and finally, to demand the attention and investment this disease has been denied for far too long. This evolution reflects the leadership we have shown and the partnerships we have built that now reach far beyond our borders. One powerful example of partnership is our investment in an early detection study led by Dr. Eugene Coy. He's the scientific director of the Ahmed Center for Pancreatic Cancer Research at MD Anderson Cancer Center. And you will hear from him in just a few minutes. We chose Dr. Coy and MD Anderson because of their leadership in the field of pancreatic cancer, their unmatched network across North America, and because they share our belief that progress requires bold collaboration. With this study, we are bringing the best minds, the strongest partners, and innovative uses of existing technology to the table, because that is what this disease demands. This study, a global first, aims to develop more sensitive screening tools that can detect pancreatic cancer earlier. The impact will be dramatic. More people diagnosed early where the potential for survival is highest, more treatment options, and more families spared the trauma of a late-stage diagnosis. But none of this happens without you. Every person on this call is making a new future possible. The programs we are building, the research we are driving, the partnerships we are forging, they exist because together we refuse to accept the status quo. If you have supported us before, thank you. We need you with us now more than ever. And if you are new to this movement, I am asking you directly, please join us. Every contribution, every action, every advocate drives us closer to the only outcome we will all accept: survival. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for your clarity and conviction in leading this movement. The urgency you spoke of connects to everything we'll be hearing today, from the programs that support patients and families to the lived experience that remind us what's at stake, to the research that is changing what's possible. To begin, we turn the team that meets patients where they are. Please welcome Maureen Elliott, Senior Manager, Programs and Support at Pancreatic Cancer North America.
Thank you, Alex. So everything that we've talked about so far, the collaboration, the partnerships, the leadership, everything connects back to the people that we serve every day. My role at Pancreatic Cancer North America is to ensure that those touched by this disease, those living with it, loved ones supporting them, those who've lost someone and are grieving, those who are worried about their own hereditary risk, that those folks never have to navigate it alone. Because when pancreatic cancer has impacted your life, every moment can feel heavier, and having that support matters. Over the past year, we have built what we call our hub of support. It's a single place where patients, loved ones, and caregivers can find relatable information, compassionate guidance, and someone who will listen. This includes services like our Ask an Expert program, peer support, counseling, and care navigation, and practical tools and information that our community can use when they need it most. This year, our supportive services have helped hundreds of community members understand their options, advocate for themselves or their loved ones, and feel more prepared in conversations with their care team, and ultimately feel less alone and more grounded during an incredibly difficult time. We also have come to deeply understand the difficulty that exists when trying to navigate the clinical trial system. It is a major barrier. The process can feel overwhelming. Access in Canada can remain limited. So many people are unsure of where to begin, what options exist, or how cross-border trials in the United States might fit into their care. That's why we have made it a priority to simplify this process, explain it more clearly, and really help families understand what is truly available to them. We also continue to advocate for better access to clinical trials in Canada. But this is where you come in. The generosity of this community makes all of this work possible, ensuring that when somebody reaches out, they have a trusted place to turn for guidance, clarity, and compassion. We know that we cannot change every outcome, but we can change experiences. I feel privileged to be able to support this community and bear witness to their remarkable strength and resilience. Thank you, and please welcome Jennifer Lovrics.
Thanks, Maureen. Good afternoon. My name is Jen Lovrics. My husband, Connor Page, lived for nearly 3 years with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He faced the disease with the same determination and spark he brought to everything in his life. From the very beginning, we promised each other that we would explore every possible option and ask every question. He had a very simple motto: no stone unturned. For us, that meant pushing for access to care and treatments that were not always immediately available or easy to find. We learned that there were ways to manage and treat the disease that were beyond the standard of care, including genetic testing, targeted treatments, and clinical trials. Seeking out these incremental treatments on top of chemotherapy, and when it stopped working, helped us find more time for what mattered most, and that was being together with our 2 young boys, Finnegan and Carter. Right away, when he was diagnosed, we pressed pause on the rush and focused on family time, be it board games and reading books, or trips to the cottage and birthday celebrations. In addition to the treatment side, we were fortunate to have a family member in the palliative care space who connected us right away. There were tremendous benefits to having access to 24-hour palliative support. It helped to manage through the treatments and, most importantly, allowed for Connor to be at home. We were unfortunate to have had Connor's dad pass from cancer just over a year before Connor's symptoms started. His dad's own experience and challenges with genetic testing was the trigger for Connor to push for that from day one. And despite all the support we had, the journey was not easy, and pain management, side effects, endoscopic procedures and interventions, and emergency room visits were the regular sometimes. But those efforts allowed us to make many memories as a family, and they were meaningful ones for us. We learned that survival is not always measured in years. Carter and Finnegan, now 5 and 8 years old, lost their dad in October 2024 when he was just 41 years old. They don't have him anymore, but they do have the memories we made over the nearly 3-year journey with pancreatic cancer. Memories they still remember, talk about, and that we fought hard to have the opportunity to make. What surprised us most was the amount of self-advocacy involved in optimizing care, from clinical trials and treatment opportunities to pain and symptom management. It really seemed that the more time we were able to invest in research, asking questions, and doing the legwork, the more options that became available beyond the standard of care. Connor often reminded me that not everyone has the time or skill set to do this advocacy when faced with a diagnosis, especially younger patients trying to balance families, work, and life. Before Connor passed away, he shared with me and with Pancreatic Cancer North America. How much it meant to him to have supported others throughout his journey, and that he wanted to be able to continue this after his passing. That is why we created the concept he so aptly called the Connor Page Playbook for Navigating Clinical Trials, a resource that we hope will help patients and caregivers understand what clinical trials are, how they work, and how to find them from the perspective of someone who went through it themselves. This new resource will soon be available for all to access on the Pancreatic Cancer North America website. It will mark a milestone in our family's partnership with the organization. It was so important to Connor to support others going through this journey. He made many friends in the same situation as him, young parents with an unbelievable diagnosis who he cared deeply about. He never wanted anyone to feel alone. Connor helped me to find the light in darkness, to appreciate the small things in life, like a cup of hot tea, and to slow down and enjoy life's moments. If we can help other families find even a few of those moments, then that is Connor's legacy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen, for sharing your story. Also, what you guys doing with the playbook, and thank you for sharing. Stories like this, like yours, remind us that survival is about the hours, the day with people we love, all the time you guys had to spend together playing board games. And that made me smile while you were saying that, because we know it's a moment that they're gonna cherish all their life, and you as well, to see your son with your husband. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And this is exactly why we must keep pushing the science forward and to help the others. And what you guys do with the playbook, that's exactly why we're here. To tell us more about that work, please welcome Ayelet Borgida, Director Medical and Health Initiative with Pancreatic Cancer North America.
Thank you, Olivier. Jen's story brings us right to the heart of why this work matters. Every initiative we lead begins with one simple truth. The people facing this disease deserve better. Our mission is to accelerate research that transforms patient outcomes and drives broader access to comprehensive care and support across the full continuum, from initial diagnosis and treatment to supportive care and beyond. We are focused on the following main areas of research. First being early detection. Early detection is key to improving survival rates. Through collaboration with Dr. Quay, we are supporting cutting-edge research that identifies this disease at its earliest stages, enabling intervention even before symptoms appear, when the chances of a cure are the highest. We are also driving innovation. By investing in bold, high-impact research, we aim to move beyond a one-size-fits-all treatment approach toward precision-based care that leverages each patient's unique tumor biology to improve outcomes. And finally, last but not least, palliative care integration. Supportive care is not just a stage of the journey. It is an essential, ongoing part of it. Early integration of palliative care helps manage symptoms, support treatment planning, and enhance quality of life. Every patient deserves compassionate care, clear guidance, and support throughout their entire experience. Each of these areas is guided by the same principle, collaboration. It drives innovation, brings together expertise across institutions, and accelerates progress. It is now my honor to introduce Dr. Eugene Quay.
Thank you. It's a real honor to be here today with all of you. And I just want to thank Pancreatic Cancer North America, Michelle, for their inspiring words and for bringing us together on this World Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Day. It's been a journey that has really transformed my own career, hearing, from, all of you and also my own patients afflicted with this deadly cancer, what this means to each of us and how we can improve, how can we improve survival rates? And, as has been nicely summarized just now, one of the most promising ways to do so is to find the cancer early. That's whenever it has not metastasized and, may still be curable. by getting rid of the original tumor in the pancreas. So our strategy is to bring up together the best minds across North America, including from our consortium that we've built over the past 6 years now, that involves MD Anderson, institutions like Dana-Farber Cancer Center, Harvard, Johns Hopkins, Stanford, Baylor College of Medicine, City of Hope, the Translational Genomics Center, TGen. We've brought all of these centers together to help us to form a unique collaboration that allows us to look at the imaging that happens prior to the diagnosis of pancreatic cancer for a select group of patients who just happen to have done this 6 months to 5 years prior to their diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, giving us a unique insight about what it looks like inside the pancreas, prior to this tumor forming and causing symptoms. We've also uniquely brought together other researchers who are doing blood-based biomarker detection algorithms and proteomics as well as metabolomics that allow us to look and see what can we detect in the patient's blood prior to their diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. And by combining these two things, we think that we can improve our detection rates not only in patients who are at high risk of developing pancreatic cancer. This has traditionally been where the focus has been for early detection all these years, but now maybe we can enrich a wider swath of the population that encompasses a majority of patients. There are high-risk patients that we have just not identified why they're high risk yet. And through these imaging as well as blood-based biomarker approaches, we think we can cast a wider net that is applicable to a larger number of patients who are afflicted with this devastating disease. So we're integrating advanced, biological methods along with artificial intelligence methods that apply to the imaging to allow us to do a two-step process to identify these cancers at their earliest stages. This is currently in the research stage, but we're really hoping that through our efforts that are supported by PCNA, Pancreatic Cancer North America, we're going to be able to accelerate this and then begin to launch a prospective clinical trial to demonstrate the real value of this two combination approach, blood and imaging. So really appreciate everybody's time today, appreciate everyone's efforts, the inspiring stories, as well as all of the help that you guys are providing to us to move this field forward.
Thank you, Dr. Coy. I mean, the research, the technology, everything that's being put in place with the support of PCNA, Pancreatic Cancer North America, all the people around, the advocates, this is just amazing. And thank you again for being part of this and helping forward. Today has shown what progress looks like when we face the hardest truth and move together. We are not here for incremental change. We are here to redefine survival. We received a few questions in advance from attendees, and then we'll take a couple more from the chat before we close. A reminder to put your questions in the Q&A tool at the bottom of the screen, and we will do our best to get to them. First question over here for Maureen. What does this expansion mean for patients and families here in Canada? Will the focus on Canada be lost?
Not at all. Oh, sorry, Michelle.
Sorry, no problem. Maureen, go ahead. You might answer much better than I was going to.
Sorry. So not at all. In fact, this coming year, we're going to be offering more patient supports and programs than ever before, with a real focus on improving the standard of care from coast to coast. So what we know is that for many people in Canada, access to timely and specialized pancreatic care can be uneven. And so in some regions, there are even fewer specialists, there are longer wait times for diagnostic imaging, there's significant travel just to reach treatment centers, and families can sometimes face weeks or even months of delays, which can, of course, add to stress in an already overwhelming diagnosis. So our expansion is specifically designed to address those gaps by providing more direct support, better navigation, and resources to help patients understand their options no matter where they live. So for us, the focus on Canada isn't being lost, it's actually being strengthened.
That's amazing. I have another question here for Michelle. Will the funds we raise remain in Canada?
So the answer to that is yes. While we're a registered charity in both Canada and the US, funds will remain in whichever country they are raised in, unless the individual chooses to direct them towards a certain project.
That's amazing. Thank you, Michelle. Question for Dr. Eugene Coy. How will your research change what is possible when screening for pancreatic cancer?
So current screening has focused on patients who have a genetic risk of pancreatic cancer. They're deemed high risk because of these genetic mutations, a strong family history where you have multiple first-degree relatives who have developed pancreatic cancer. There's something called new onset diabetes. So if you're over the age of 50 and develop diabetes, you have a higher risk of developing pancreatic cancer in the coming 3 years. So these types of populations of patients have been the key focus on early detection efforts. However, they only really comprise, a small percentage of all the cases that are diagnosed, in the world. And so we're only screening and really surveilling a very small population of patients who might develop pancreatic cancer. And even in that population, it's a very small number that actually develop pancreatic cancer while under surveillance. So what we're trying to do is allow us to look at the wider population, not only through their imaging, but also through blood tests that might help us to say this patient is also a high-risk patient for reasons that we just don't know yet, that are not related to all those other factors that I just mentioned, the genetic risk, the family, and the nuance of diabetes, or even cysts in the pancreas, for example. So that's how we're hoping to change this, really allow us to look at a larger population that has not been able to be studied, to date. And going back to the one of the earlier questions about how this is affecting Canada, we do hope to expand these research studies as well as the prospective clinical trial to our colleagues in Canada. We've engaged a number of institutions that are very interested in joining this, and it's also expanding the research that we're trying to do so we can bring it to patients faster.
Thank you for your answer, Dr. Coy. I have another question here. Where can families whom have lost a sibling or parent to pancreatic cancer get proactive testing screening in Canada, specifically in BC? Maureen, can you take this one?
Certainly. So what we usually recommend for folks is to speak to their family doctor if they have one, regarding a referral to a genetic counselor. That's usually the best place to start. A genetic counselor has the ability to guide you through what that could look like, what testing would be appropriate, and then also guide you through the results and the impact of those results. So if you're looking for specific information, you can reach out to the Ask an Expert program and we can help you connect with specific clinics or referral processes in BC. So feel free to reach out to our Ask an Expert program. It comes directly to me.
Thank you, Maureen. Another question over here. Are there investigators for children who have lost a parent to pancreatic cancer to better understand their likelihood to also suffer from this disease?
Perhaps Dr. Coy could answer that question if he's still with us.
I am, yes. So, whenever it comes to, looking at, the different ways that we can integrate all these things, we're looking at the various types of markers that we can detect from blood, and these include things from proteins as well as metabolites. And Alex, if you kind of just give me another repeat of the question. I'm not sure if I completely followed what you were asking for here.
Absolutely. So the question was, are there investigators for children who have lost a parent to pancreatic cancer to better understand their likelihood to also suffer from this disease?
Yeah. So, I mean, with these markers, we're hoping to be able to look at this across, not only the high-risk patients, but the larger population, as I mentioned. But for people who have this strong family history, genetic testing is something that is available clinically right now to look for known gene mutations, such as BRCA2, for example, along with other things that are kind of the mutations that can lead to pancreatic cancer. So those are things that you can ask your general practitioner to help you to take a look at, from your own germline testing. Some of these cancers are just sporadic, however. They can just develop because you acquire mutations during the course of your lifetime and may not necessarily be something that you inherited necessarily from your family members. So it's really something that you should speak with your general practitioner, and kind of understand, looking at your family history, and a geneticist to help you understand, what are the things that are appropriate right now.
Thank you, Dr. Coy. I have a statement here from Mike Whitfield. Not a question, but a thank you to Ailid Borgita, who has and continues to provide a friend of mine in South Africa with advice and guidance on trials. This is probably a guidance study in Barcelona that we have applied for Hugly. I appreciated Ailid from James and Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mike. I know we've been discussing on and off, and I really appreciate speaking with you and reaching out to me when you need. So thank you for that comment.
Alex, if there's no other question, I would like to say a couple words before we close. We want to leave you with
just one more question. I think we've just
amazing.
got one more question. I apologize. Alex,
no worries, Alex.
Alex, do you see the question?
I just found it. Yes. Please share with the audience some of the latest advances in hysterotoxy for pancreatic cancer.
That would obviously be for Dr. Coy.
So histotripsy is a way to use microbubbles. You're basically causing mechanical stress on the cancer cells to make them burst, essentially. This is a technology that is being studied for pancreatic cancer. I have not seen any published results as yet. I know that there was a study called Gannon that was done in Europe, and so we're anxiously awaiting the results of that. So this is a new type of treatment for pancreatic cancer. It certainly has some promise that has been shown in the liver. And that's where the original indication for treating with histotripsy was started. They've also done studies in kidney as well. So all these different solid tumor sites in the abdomen, liver, pancreas, kidney, are all being examined as we speak. But we need to see what the results look like. How safe is it? What kind of patients are appropriate to receive this? There's certainly a lot of hope and a lot of enthusiasm around the technology, but we just need to be a little bit patient to see what that really looks like, and how we can best implement it.
Thank you for your answer, Dr. Coy.
There's another question. I'm not sure whether you could see it or not. Why don't I just read it in the interest of time? So is work being done to develop a package that can be distributed by hospitals in Canada to newly diagnosed patients? So many people find out in a busy emergency department setting and walk out, waiting days for the first meeting with a dedicated doctor. It's a scary time, and more compassionate information is needed in that moment to help navigate the next few weeks. In the case of the person who has brought forward this question, the first week involved choosing which hospital which to receive chemo, and even that was daunting. I think that this really speaks to the need for the playbook that Jen and Connor have created. And Ayelet, you can potentially speak about what happens in the individual hospitals, especially in Canada. it is certainly why we encourage people to come to our website and get information. And certainly we need more physicians and diagnosing oncologists to be handing out our information.
Yes, I agree with that. And there's definitely inconsistencies across Canada. There's not one uniform package per se for newly diagnosed patients. It depends on what the hospital provides. However, this is something that we're working on for 2026. So if people come to our website and register, we're hoping to have some sort of kit or package with lots of resources that can currently be found on our website, information, questions to ask your doctor, information about clinical trials that we can mail out to those that register. And that would be a good starting point. And they can always follow up with us, like Maureen said, even through Ask an Expert if there's additional questions.
And I mean, as an extension of that as well, we are, as I mentioned previously, we are working to develop and expand our network inside of Canada as well to, build connections and make sure that healthcare settings have this information, have our information so that they can refer appropriately and make sure that people are connected with us from the get-go as well. It looks like there was a question as well. So it says, in the rural periphery, it feels like we are often disconnected from innovation, clinical trials, and research of the bigger hubs. We really only have options for standards of care and want more access and connections. How are you working to improve access to the rural parts of Canada? So similarly to what I just mentioned, kind of with building our network, that is part of how we are trying to expand and improve access. We are our programs are virtual services, so anyone can access them, but part of that is knowing about us. So as we grow our network and make sure that folks are able to know who we are and how to get to us, we're hoping that that will improve access as an initial piece. In terms of options for standard of care, access, and equity, health equity, we can help you navigate some of those things as well. Certainly, we know that in rural communities, the care will be different, and that the need to travel for care may be there. That's something we can help you discuss and figure out if that's accessible for you, if there are things like financial supports or programs that can help you with the cost or the transportation, accommodations, things like that. And in addition, in terms of cross-border clinical trials, if things aren't accessible in your community or even in Canada, we can speak to you about the possibility of clinical trials in the US and how to navigate that system. And again, some of the financial pieces that come with that as well.
There's a question I'd like to read, if that's okay, addressing some of the genetic components of pancreas cancer. So it says, my husband died from pancreatic cancer. My son does not have the BRCA2 mutation. Should he continue to get genetic testing in the future? So I'm not sure if he was only tested for the BRCA2 mutation. There are several different mutations that can increase a risk of pancreatic cancer. The best thing is to keep your family doctor, his family doctor, informed about the full family history of cancers, not just pancreas cancer, if there's that in the family besides your husband. And there are things that change in the future. There might be new discoveries for mutations or things that might increase a person's risk of pancreas cancer. So I would always continue the conversation. Again, if you want to more specifically, like, you can reach out through Ask an Expert if you want to expand on your question, because I don't have all the information right now, and then we can follow up and provide you with more specific answers. I also just wanted to say there's currently not a specific mutation to test for when there's a history of pancreas cancer in the family. Like I said, BRCA2 increases risk of pancreas cancer, and that's something that's being worked on to actually be able to test high-risk people for a pancreas mutation. But it's a great question, and feel free to reach out.
I also saw a question in the chat that sort of comment and question, but something I can comment on for sure. So I would like to see more supports available for older teens, early 20s, whose parents are ill or have died, as this group needs some packaged materials, online supports that are tailored to their situation. So we certainly agree with you. We know that there is a different experience for folks whose parents are younger or who are younger themselves and experiencing the loss of a parent. We work in partnership with Wellspring to deliver a number of support groups that are specific to different communities, different age ranges, and different experiences. So we can certainly connect you with those resources. We can also find specific or things to your area depending on where you live in the world, and are happy to do that legwork for you to find those things. Internally, we are also, always working to develop additional resources. Something that we have coming is a legacy planning resource that can be used for both parents and children of parents. Anyone really, but in this particular circumstance. And it is something that we're hoping to share early next year. And that could be helpful in this kind of a situation as well.
Thanks, Doctor. Thanks, Maureen. Question for Dr. Coy. 6-year pancreatic survivor of adenocarcinoma from BC. Are there preventable blood tests available in BC to detect reoccurrence?
BC being British Columbia, is that?
Yes, and adenocarcinoma is what they were speaking about.
So the question is, are there blood tests to detect whether the cancer has come back after treatment? Is that what they're asking?
Yes.
Okay. So the standard biomarker test for pancreatic cancer is something called CA19-9. It's something that you can detect in the blood, and most oncologists will order this for their patients to see if the tumor is responding, and then also if there's any evidence that it's coming back. So that is one of the blood tests that can be done. There are also things that the tumor cells can release into the bloodstream other than CA19-9, including circulating tumor DNA. And this can be detected through some other commercially available tests that your oncologist may order, especially if they are able to get the original tumor and identify some of the genetic mutations that were present in it originally that may be released into the bloodstream if the tumor cells are active. So that's another commercially available test that can be done. There are a number of other ways to try to detect cancer recurrence, including with imaging and PET scans and MRIs. So these are things that your oncologist can speak to. But the things that we're interested in trying to do are identify metabolites as well as proteins in the blood that may indicate that there's a cancer risk in the future, or there may be a small cancer that's already present that may trigger the CT or MRI scan that we want to do clinically to identify an early cancer. So there's a slight difference in kind of what the research that PCNA is providing us for early detection versus kind of surveillance after you've had your cancer treated. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Dr. Coy.
Mm-hmm.
I see another question in chat about support services, so I'd like to answer that. So the question is, what is a group for support for caregivers who have lost their spouse? My husband passed away last year after a 5-month battle. We need to get some support for those who have gone through it. So our deepest condolences on the loss of your spouse. It's an unimaginable loss, and we are here to support you. We do have groups available for those who are dealing with grief or bereavement. We have a number of options available to you through our partnership with Wellspring. We have specifically a pancreatic cancer support group. It's called their Support Circle. We also have peer support programming where it's a one-on-one virtual option. So you can speak to somebody who has gone through something similar. If you're wanting more of that one-on-one connection, we also have short-term counseling available, which is with a practitioner. If you're needing more of that professional experience and conversations. Beyond that, there are a number of those are the specific pancreatic cancer groups, and then there are additionally a number of bereavement and grief groups available as well. And so I'm happy to send links. We can put some stuff in chat if that's helpful, or you can always reach out to ask an expert as well.
I can answer the one about accessing clinical trials in rural settings. Sorry, I lost the question. But someone was just asking if you're in a rural setting, there's not many, if any, clinical trials available. You can always ask for a referral to a center with clinical trials in another province, Ontario. However, that involves travel. And again, I can walk through the referral process or second opinions if you want to send your question to the Ask an Expert, and I can provide more detail for that.
And Ayelet, I think the playbook will be a resource that can help people to see what you can do on your own to look for the clinical trials. We learned that quite a bit of the investigative stage can be done through Zoom or phone calls. And if you would like to do some of the legwork yourself, there are ways to do that without a formal referral. So I hope it helps to provide that. But as you said, in the meantime, contact Ask an Expert and this can help.
Yes, thanks, Jen. That's a great point.
Another question here for Dr. Coy. My husband had stage 4 and had 3 strokes in a month. Does pancreatic cancer cause this?
Sorry to hear that. Pancreatic cancer is one of the cancers that can thicken your blood. It's a state, medically speaking, called hypercoagulability. Your blood just clots much more easily whenever you have a pancreatic tumor. So it's hard to say exactly what might have caused the strokes, if I heard that correctly. There may have been other factors or a predisposition to developing strokes, due to just common factors like high blood pressure or cholesterol. But, certainly the cancer can cause, these clots, and those can lead to strokes. More commonly, it causes clots that are in the abdomen or in the lungs. That's usually where we see the clots. But certainly, the brain is also something where the blood can clot as well. So I can't really answer specifically about your husband. I'm sorry, but hopefully your physicians can give you a little bit more insight about that.
Thanks for your answer, Dr. Coy. Another question over here. Why do you think there is a rise in pancreatic cancer, and why is it affecting younger people in greater numbers? It is used to be known as the old person disease.
It's a great question, and we don't have a great answer for it right now, unfortunately. We do know that kind of the Western lifestyle, associates with some of the traditional risk factors for pancreatic cancer. That can include obesity, and things that adversely affect our GI tract, including the pancreas. So diet, exercise, or lack thereof, of a healthy diet at least. Those are things that can predispose, people at younger and younger ages, unfortunately, and that may lead to an earlier diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. We're finding that genetically speaking, whenever these patients are diagnosed with these early onset cancers, in their 30s and 40s, maybe even younger, these cancers look about the same as what they might have looked like if the person was diagnosed with the pancreatic cancer or other type of cancer, for that matter, at a later age, more traditionally like in the 60s or 70s. So genetically, these are not very different, but there is something physiologically going on with these young patients and likely they've had exposures or had lifestyles that led to chronic inflammatory conditions that lead to the cancer, unfortunately. But we really don't have a great understanding of this as yet. It's an active area of investigation, and we're really trying to get to the root of it. Um, there was another part to the question, Alex, and I'm forgetting what that was, or did I cover everything?
I'll repeat the question. Uh,
Mhm.
why we're thinking there's a rise in pancreatic cancer, and why is it affecting younger
I
people in a
see.
greater number? So I think
So
you've covered a
yeah,
good
but
part.
the rise in pancreatic cancer in the more general population, not only in North America, the US, Canada, but also the world, is likely due to our changes in lifestyle, and things that have chronically been, like smoking and alcohol abuse, been the risk factors for this. Now obesity and a diet that includes a lot of unhealthy things, like preservatives and so forth, can lead to can lead to the cancer. So these are the things that we need to try to address from a healthcare perspective, but also understand, for the patients who are being diagnosed at a younger age. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Coy.
Yeah, thank you, guys. We'll do one or two more questions, and then we'll finish today's meeting.
Next question. Are all the hospital treatments the same in Toronto? How hard to get a second opinion?
So there are standard of care treatments, and those are typically the ones that are provided, whether you're having chemotherapy or treatment before surgery or after surgery, called adjuvant treatment, or even after progression, or if you have stage 4. However, the clinical trials may differ in the Toronto hospitals. And also, if people have genetic testing or tumor profiling, so looking at the genetic changes in someone's tumor, either through surgery or biopsy, that can also help dictate clinical trials or treatments that may be specific to that specific genetic change.
Thanks, Ayelet. I think we have one last question over here. I feel like I am sitting duck with two close family members with pancreatic cancer. I've had genetic testing years ago, which didn't show anything. Should I be advocating for an MRI?
Sorry, Alex. I've been trying to answer some of the questions online, and I missed the very first part of that.
No
What
problem.
what was the first part again?
This person feels like she's sitting on a duck with two of her close family members with pancreatic cancer. I've had
Mhm.
genetic testing years ago, which didn't show anything. Should I be advocating for an MRI?
So unless there are any other risk factors right now, clinically, it's hard to advocate for, a traditional MRI screening for you if you do not have the genetic predisposition, if you have not developed, new onset diabetes beyond the age of 50, if there's no cyst in your pancreas. Those are the traditional things that would justify doing regular surveillance of your abdomen, and your pancreas to look for a pancreatic tumor. Until we identify these other things that might say that you're at high risk, doing regular surveillance with an MRI or any other imaging for that matter, is just currently not clinically justified. So unfortunately, I don't think that it's necessarily something that, will address your concern for yourself. But certainly your doctor can kind of go over, what may be other risk factors and, help to alleviate some of your concerns. But I do think that, again, like going back to the research that we're trying to do, we're trying to identify, markers as well as imaging signs that might say that you are at high risk or other people are at high risk. So hopefully, within this coming year, in 26, we'll be able to move forward with, the studies that, I was alluding to earlier. So we're really looking to do this in an accelerated manner, with the support of PCNA and others. So really appreciate everybody's time and engagement. I mean, it's been a really engaged audience here. I've been trying to keep up with all the questions, and hopefully I've answered all of them from the medical perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Coy. It's super important for all of us to understand more, and we can feel like the people that are here, there's probably a lot of questions still. They can ask us questions through the website. But thank you all for answering and also taking the time to ask questions. It's super important. Before we close, we want to leave you with 3 things that define why we are here today. And it's super important. So the number 1 is we are here to change the trajectory of pancreatic cancer. Number 2, early detection drives survival. And number 3, we are united across North America to change patient outcomes. So it's 3 things super important. And I think we just put the link also if you have more questions in the comment. But those 3 things are why we're here today, why we all ends together and fighting for that disease.
If today has reminded you why this work matters, we invite you to share your why using the hashtag survival, not sympathy. Consider hosting a community event or fundraiser, and if you are able, please make gifts today. Every contribution brings more time, care, and clarity to families facing this disease.
And on behalf of everyone of Pancreatic Cancer North America, thank you for standing with us.
Merci à tous. Thank you everyone for being here with us today. It was great to share this